Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Ashes of Community podcast. I'm your host, BC Giant, and today's topic will be an Ashes of Creation recap, where we will be talking about previous topics and everything Ashes of Creation. Today's guests are well known within the community. We got Bellowin, Lex, and Saru. How are you doing, guys?
Hey there, I'm doing awesome. How about
Hello.
yourself?
Doing good. Thanks
Doing
for
good, you're doing
inviting
good.
us, man.
No problem. Thanks for being on the podcast, guys. So little heads up for everybody who's watching and for people who have not watched the podcast before. This podcast is completely pro bono, has nothing to do with Intrepid, and this podcast is meant to put a spotlight on the community for Ashes of Creation itself, rather than put a spotlight on the game, because most of the people watching are already members of the community. We pretty much talk about the game 24/7, and we have a lot of great members within the community, and this podcast is meant to put a spotlight on those members. So we're gonna get right into it, and our first topic, as always, will be, how long have you been involved with Ashes of Creation? Bell, because you're like the newest moderator for the community, why don't you start us off?
Sure, absolutely. So secretly, I joined the community in December 2016. Kind of kept a low profile for a long time until moving into the moderator spot. So I've been here a while, but only publicly for about, I don't know, sorry, what if like 2 months? So
Give or
3
take,
months.
yeah.
3 months. Oh wow, time flies when you're having fun.
Saru, you're one of the you're one of the moderators that is well known. How long have you been involved with the community and with Ashes?
Well, I came on board on December when it first, like the Discord first popped up, which I think was the 6th of December or the 7th. The game was kind of like, there were rumors at it like in 2016, like early 2016, and then finally like there was a bit of an announcement with MMORPG.com in December, but there were more announcements in November. But I kind of got involved with the moderator position. Steven asked me, I think it was on January. That's when he wanted the moderator, so I've been here since December, I guess. Yeah.
What about you, Lex?
I started following the game around about March this year. I backed a few other games, and it came up in one of my feeds. I can't remember which feed it came. It might have been Kickstarter or YouTube or something. So I kind of trolled around and looked at a few videos at the time, and a couple of live streams. And so by the time Kickstarter came out, I was already reasonably familiar with the game, and I funded the game and joined the community in officially in May.
Okay, so I think we all 4 of us. And by the way, this is the first time we have 4 people on the podcast. So woo, first one. So I've been involved with Ashes since late last year, but I joined the Discord around like mid to late January. So before we get into the first real topic, one thing I want to know from all 3 of you is what really like caught your eye? Like, what made you look into Ashes of Creation? Like, what was that that thing that pushed you over the line and made you want to learn more about the game? Sarah, what about you?
Oh, well, damn. Okay. I'm usually the guy that ends up talking too long. Okay, so
Go for it.
with
Honestly, go for it.
So the guy for Ashes of Creation, the way it started out, like I said earlier, I was just looking at MMORPG.com and different other websites, and that popped up, and I really like the aspect of this ever-changing world and an MMORPG that was basically driven by the players rather than the company. So I like those ideas, and then coming into the first stream and learning about like there's going to be regionalized marketplaces like the trade houses rather than having one global server trade auction house and then no pay to win and all that stuff. That really just kind of brought me on board, and I'm like, ooh, I like this. And I've always liked the fantasy-esque type of thing. I've kind of gotten tired of the whole Asian MMORPG, which is kind of ironic considering what I'm playing right now. But yeah, I mean, after learning about that, and we haven't really had any westernized MMORPGs in the last decade, to be honest. If you really can think of AAA ones, it's just World of Warcraft and WildStar, like pretty much it. You know, we have indie MMOs coming out like Chronicles of Valeria and Crowfall and other little projects, but you know, never to the scale of what Ashes wanted to do. So I got pretty excited and I really wanted to get involved.
I think you and me are on the same boat, because me myself, I used to play the swear word out of Black Desert Online, and
Right.
I also feel like, I don't know, like, I guess I have to be the bad guy again. I'm getting kind of sick of Eastern MMOs. So when a guy I know from my stream told me about, you know, Ashes, I kind of looked into it, and the first couple of things I actually read was pretty much, this looks way too good to be true. So I started to look into it, and that's when I really got like caught on the whole Ashes of Creation hype. Lex, what about you? Because you said you got involved around early this year. So that was
Yeah.
January, February. Like, what caught your eye?
Well, I'm a little bit the same as you guys. So I've played a lot of MMOs, but you know, the MMOs that you know, are out at the moment, especially, are you know, apart from WoW and a couple of others, are, you know, mostly Eastern. So you know, I've always loved the genre, but you know, I've never really stuck with any of these games for very long, because you know, I always tend to find, you know, weaknesses in the games fairly quickly, and they're kind of off-putting after a while. So I have to confess a little bit that I had been secretly designing my own MMORPG since the early 2000s. You know, as kind of as a nerdy response to all of the things I don't like about them. And you know, it's only a side project; it's only a hobby project. But I started actually building it in Unreal Engine 2 in my spare time, and it's sort of evolved into Unreal Engine 4. It's a silly little thing. It's just an ideas thing. But when I watched the first live stream where Stephen described Ashes for the first time, I was actually, you know, blown away by that. It was the vision he has was so remarkably similar to my own. In fact, even better than my own. That's what really drew me in.
Belle, what about you?
You know, so I was playing this Korean MMO, imagine that, called Arcade, and
How dare
I happened to come across. I know, I'm sorry. I really liked the game for a long time. It was great until, you know, Fresh Start happened. But whatever. I was playing the game and someone shared a video with me. It was the Ashes of Creation Merry Christmas video. I think we've all seen it. It was a great scenic video, some interesting background music, and it caught my attention. I like the darker feel of games, having a game that has a lot of good environment to it. So I really wasn't too sure in terms of what to expect, because we really didn't have a whole lot of information at that time. So did a lot of digging, kind of, you know, joined the community up with the Discord not long after I think SARE stood it up, but stayed hidden for a long time, did my own research, and just fell in love with it. I like the ideas that Steve brings to the table. I really like the scope of what he wants to include in terms of, you know, just the scale of this game. So everything that's come out, I've latched onto it. It's almost like starving. You know, you're looking for more and more information to be released from the devs, and you're eagerly sitting there waiting. And I mean, I've been hooked since.
Okay, so I think we were all on the same page. Okay, so because all of us are really active on the Discord, and I think as soon as any new piece of information pops up, like, everybody already knows about it. The next topic is for me is like important to me personal, because I've been on the hype train for a lot of games. I was one of the guys who hyped the swear word out of Black Desert Online. I was really hyped for ArcAge. And those two experiences, you know, like, I think I'm not the only one who can say this, but those two experiences, they really let me down. And I know that Ashes is far away from being finished, but we also know a lot about the game, because, you know, last podcast we had people live on the podcast that were at PAX, that played the game for the first time. So we know we know a lot about the current state of the game. So what I want to know now is, what are you guys' thoughts on Ashes so far? And I'm gonna start us off because I probably have to play the bad guy again. So for me personally, and I think Sauro and Lex can agree, I think maybe all three of you can agree on that, is the last, like Sauro said himself, the last decade, there was no real great MMORPG that came out of the West. We had Wildstar, we had maybe Star Wars, but they didn't really bring anything new or exciting to the table, in my opinion. So I started looking into other MMOs like Black Desert Online, ArcAge, and they had things that sounded really interesting and they promised a lot, but in the end it was a letdown. So that said, I do not expect, for example, to Ashes to bring anything new or like revolutionizing to the table. They gonna change the ways we see MMOs because they are creating a world that changes based on what the players do. And for me, that is really important. That's something that I wished Black Desert Online had. I wished ArcAge had that to a way bigger degree than they did. So my thoughts on Ashes right now is Ashes, and I actually made a video about this. My thoughts of Ashes is promises or is wishful thinking with the highest chance of success I have seen in the past 10 years, if that makes sense. Sauro, what do you think? What are your thoughts so far on Ashes?
I think there's a lot that it wants to offer. The MMORPG genre has been, offering so much to the world in the last, I don't know, since it came out, ever since Ultima Online and even previous ones. So there's been an evolving aspect to the socializing a feature for MMOs, right? So we have, when we first started out, we only had, NPCs. We really couldn't even talk to each other, and then we finally got to learn about one another. And that's the one thing that Steven brought to the table is, he really liked the whole fact of, I like to socialize. I like the fact that I'm in, like, at least with me, I'm in Canada right now, and I can speak with someone who's in Alaska. I can speak with someone who's all the way in Australia. So those type of interconnectivities, in MMORPGs, I think that's what really brought that. Now with Ashes of Creation, you have that, of course, but he's learned all these bad habits and business practices that have come by, with games that have come pay to win, that big games have completely done bad practices with their marketplaces or with the way they offer certain items for sale, that progresses people, and they, don't it. Even though it's a completely different nomenclature, it's the same thing. It's pay to win, even though it's pay to progress. So I've always enjoyed being able to play the game where I can maybe feel like, hey, I'm having fun and there's nobody around me that is going to be, going on the cash shop or whatever market shop and buying this potion that gives them 3,000 XP bonus just because, that's for them to level up faster. No, I mean, so I really love that part of Ashes of Creation. I think anybody can really, go with me with that. It's the fact that, they're promising this pay to win, and, Steven has gone that path. He knows what it's like to play pay to win games. I mean, I won't name any, but
ArcAge.
I won't name any, but yeah, it's just a fact, so apart from that, you got the unique note system that I think is kind of interesting. Me myself, I'm playing the game to be interesting. I have some community events that I really want to plan out with Bell and Shunix. So it was for the game when it comes out in beta. So that's really my goal, is just kind of organize events and have fun and have socializing. I kind of got over the whole PvE, PvP, and trying to be tiered, top 10%, top 1% for a game. Kind of just got over it. I think that comes with age, though. So, I mean, that's why I'm excited. So.
Okay. Lex.
Yeah.
Lex, because you said earlier you joined around the time the Kickstarter went live. What are your thoughts on Ashes so far? Do you think it's our Lord and Savior? Do you think it's gonna be a success, or is it going to share the sad story of like so many other games, like for example Wildstar, that had a huge hype behind it. What do you think?
Well, like yourself, I've kind of been on the hype train before, Giant, and been burnt a few times. While I have high hopes for Ashes, I'm not kind of blind to the potential pitfalls that are not just game design or or just business or anything. It's just the way the market is could turn the game into something else. So while I'm hopeful and positive about the game, there are always potential pitfalls in it. But I could talk about the other reasons for ages. But one of the things I'll just kind of quickly say is the things I like about Ashes the most, the things that caught my attention the most. One of the first things that caught my attention were the design pillars. Obviously, I've been this kind of closeted amateur game designer now for over a decade, so I had a wish list, and really the design pillars of Ashes really do tell me that Stephen and Jeff and co have really given a lot of thought about, I think as Sarah said before, all of the weaknesses in the other games. And the reason why, people stop playing games is simply because of one or another reason, unbalanced game systems because of risk versus reward not being there, lack of content because the content is an entirely theme park oriented and driven by the developers rather than user driven, or the other extreme of that of course is sandbox games where there's pretty much no content at all apart from the environment that you're in. So Ashes being a theme box is right in the middle there, so that's good. So the pay to win, as Sarah went into, I'm not going to go over that again, but again the lack of pay to win in the game or in the business model for the game really is quite a determiner about the types of content in the game. If you have an underlying desire as a studio to, even though you don't call it a pay to win game, to be pay to win, there will be excessive gating in the game, time gating or currency gating or whatever. It'll be repetitive and grindy. There'll be limited appearance options in the game. All of these kinds of mechanics that are irritating to players unless, of course, they step up and pay money for it. So but the one main thing actually that I think is most important to me out of all of those is the balanced risk versus reward, and I really do hope Ashes gets that right through the testing phases.
I'm pretty sure I know what you mean, the whole reward and risk thing, because a lot of people on the Discord, every time the PvP system comes up and the whole I want to kill people but the punishment is too high, and that whole discussion comes up. So I think especially during the testing phases, I think that's one of the things Jeff and the other guys are really going to keep an eye on, because they really need to like hit that thing like on the spot. Like that thing needs to work. So Belle, like same question for you. What are your thoughts on Ashes so far? Like do you
So I want to take a little bit of a different spin to how I answer that. The other guys cover some really good points, but in the role that I am with the community, being in the community moderator, it's really great to be able to bridge that fine gap between the community base, the opinions that are coming forward and being shared on the forums, in the Discord. And what a lot of folks don't see is the relay of that information back to Intrepid, and there, some of the responses have started to come forward, and that's something that I don't know what I want to say. It's an integral part of the development cycle, but at the same time, what I love is that the dev team is so responsive. You guys gave a lot of feedback from the community in terms of certain things that were shown in packs. I know the QuickTime event bar was a hot topic, but guys, the dev team really took in a lot of that feedback. They took it to heart. They're really looking at and evaluating systems. And that's what I love. It shows that the team is willing to, listen to the community's feedback as they develop the vision for this product. And they really are trying to incorporate ideas that come from the community into the overall scope of the project. So to me, that's inspirational. Having worked for other gaming companies before in the past where that didn't happen, even within the dev team, a lot of times they felt like they were in a wall. Talking to the different members of the Intrepid team, talking to the community, there's so many players that get to submit their ideas, so many members of the team that put things forward and they actually are getting incorporated and listened to. That's awesome. Now, of course, you don't want to risk going into scope creep where, everybody's got all these ideas and it becomes, a pipe dream. But at the same time, I think they're doing a good job of really balancing out and listening to what people have to say as they progress with the development.
So you're pointing towards the transparency also, right? You mean the transparency between the dev team and the community, right?
To a degree, yes, but more so that the dev team is actually listening to what the community has to say and taking that genuine feedback to heart and actually acting upon it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Last podcast, I had a couple of the guys that actually were helping at PAX, and they also said that Jeff and Steven, they were really listening to what people said at the PvP stand and the PvE stand. So I really do agree. Like I'm not a moderator, but I'm like one of the guys that lurks on the Discord like 24/7, and I totally agree on the thing you just said about the dev team listening to the community. And yeah, I think that's one of the best things about Intrepid. Okay.
Yeah, those hot topic polls that you see on the forums all the time, they actually read those. So
I don't want to say any names, but I know a lot of game developers that they don't read those posts or stuff like that. They really don't, and it's a refreshing win personally for me that Intrepid actually listens to their community before they go into final development for the game.
Oh, for sure. And like, I don't know, I just wanted to notice or say something rather.
Go for it.
I keep getting texted. So, Steven is kind of like the gamer that we all wish we could be. We all wish we had that money that we could just make our own MMO. He was fortunate enough to, make so much money at an early age and say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to make my own MMORPG. I'm going to make it better. And yeah, Intrepid is fantastic, but it's the fact that, this is how Steven wants it to be. He wants there to be transparency. He wants people to, talk to one another. And sure, there's busy and people don't really understand the fact of how much development's actually being put into work, how much scheduling is being put into the game. So it's actually an alpha 0, rather than being pushed back. And people hate being pushed back so much. So, I really just want to give a shout out to them because they're really they're appreciated for the fact that they do all so much, but they're really underappreciated because I see on Discord, I know Bell and I always see on Discord, people saying, oh, do the devs even talk over here? It's like they do, but like you can't expect them to be there all the time. They're working on the game. So I don't know, I just want to give them a little shout out.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit extra too. I've been in a few gaming communities too, MMO under development communities, and this is quite an unusual community actually. If my experience is to be used as a ruler there, but because we have an unusually high amount of wisdom in this community. By wisdom, I mean we have some very experienced gamers and people who have been in this genre for a very long time and who have been willing to contribute and share their ideas. So going to what Sari said about shouting out Intrepid, I totally want to shout out their openness because that is a resource for them to use, that huge pool of wisdom in the community, and listening to that is a very good move for them.
I kind of completely, absolutely agree with Lex on that last statement. I personally, I've been playing MMOs for, I don't know, EverQuest 1, so way too long, and I'm getting old. I know, don't judge me, I'm getting old. And I studied, when I was going to school, I studied the industry like left and right every chance I could. And I had the I don't want to call it a pleasure because it really wasn't, but I had a chance to work in the industry for the past half year, and from my experience with all the previous communities for MMOs, I have to say this one by far number one, straight up. Like if I compare the Ashes community the way it is now to, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, Black Desert Online, Ashes of Creation, straight up best community. Like I don't know, it's not how do you best describe it? It's the openness, the transparency, and the willingness to talk to each other on a certain level. I remember being a part of the Black Desert Online German community, and on the forums it was one big toxic bucket where people just dumped in stuff day after day. So a shout out to all the devs if they ever watch this. Shout out to Jeff and everybody, but also shout out to all the community members that show up day after day on the Discord and share everything they want to share, and not talking down on each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we're so early in development, and I've spoken with so many people, and I tell them the same thing every time. In the multiple podcasts I've said the same thing, and I'll keep saying it. It's so amazing how many milestones we've gotten by the fact that the game's not out. I mean, you get games that are released, and they don't have this type of community. They don't see the numbers that this community has. We have 15,000, I think almost 16,000 on Discord, and like I think we're reaching almost 300,000 registered on the website. That's insane. And the game's not out. And you don't really get that. And, I think that's really from the openness and the transparency that comes from Intrepid. You don't see game developers going ahead and it's like, here's some concept art. What do you guys think? You guys don't like it? Okay, let's change it a little bit so maybe it's a bit more modern. They get the feedback from the players and they change, but they're not changing the scope that they want to do. They're just changing to make sure that everybody is cool with the game. And that's, from day one. If you were here, we got those quote unquote Discord exclusives. I don't know if you guys remember, which don't happen anymore. But we used to get all those cool things. You don't see that anymore. So that's fantastic.
Definitely.
I just want to play just a little bit of a devil's advocate there, and I'm not doing this to bring any negativity in it, but along with the openness there comes a risk. And we saw a little bit of that with PAX, in that the openness invites constructive feedback, but it also invites a little bit of destructive feedback. And so that's why a lot of studios, I think, don't. But they aren't open in the early stages because people can't tell the difference between pre-alpha and alpha and beta and so on. And they judge what they see as the final product. So just tempering their openness with that thought that they have to be very mindful of managing people's expectations, and they are on the whole, but that's going to become more important as time goes on.
Do you mean like people who wear packs, and I don't want to call any names, I'm not going to call any names, but like YouTubers that after PAX were talking really bad about Ashes and said this game looks crap, and they didn't mention that it was like pre-alpha?
Well, to be honest, most of the YouTubers that I've seen from PAX who are actually at PAX were relatively balanced in their opinion. There are only a couple of minority YouTubers who I think were just there trolling, and they probably didn't get any views anyway. But I'm just talking about in general, whether it's YouTube or whether it's any kind of forum or online media, that there will always be those who are either have an agenda or that they're just naturally biased toward the game, and they'll take the opportunity to say, well, is this what you're giving us? This is BS kind of thing. So that needs to be managed.
Yeah, but with that in mind, I mean, in retrospect, there will always be trolls in MMOs or any online community. But you also got to think, the only reason that Intrepid went ahead and went to PAX is to say we do have a game. This is not a scam. Yeah. And before that, it was like, oh, it's a scam. This is not a scam. They have to have huge balls to have created that little demo for people, even though it might not be good, it might not be bad. The fact is just to show them. Yes, there's going to be negative feedback, but screw them.
Let me put it this way, because I dealt with stuff like this in my previous job, where I was working in the gaming industry. The level of transparency Intrepid shows. For me personally, I think it's brilliant, because if you work in the gaming industry and you work with a studio and you want to be able to talk to your community on an even playing field, and I think the openness and the transparency Intrepid shows, and this is only my personal opinion, if they keep this up, they will have a solid launch, and there won't be any overhype, and there will be nothing like negative, because everybody knows what they're getting. And if you compare it to games like No Man's Sky, they hyped the crap out of the game. At the end, it wasn't even 20% of what they promised. So already Intrepid going the transparent route, they're already making sure that doesn't happen. The only risk that I think is that they let the community overhype the game to a degree where it's like, yeah, we never promised you that, you just made that up. They kind of need to control the hype, but I think they're really doing a good job with that sort of stuff, with the stuff they do in the Discord, with the stuff they do at PAX. So I'm like not too worried when it comes to that. But what do you think?
I mean, I really agree with you there, and a huge shout out to Shinix, who maintains our Intrepid answers on the Discord. We have that channel there for the transparency. It's there so that if you want to know what Intrepid actually said in regards to, a question you might have, you can go right there. You do a quick search. You can find it pretty easy, and there it is.
All right, let's finish up that topic, and let's actually go back to something that is actually like really related to the game. So the third topic for tonight is, what is your favorite Kickstarter goal? And for those who don't remember, Ashes Creation had a big Kickstarter campaign a while back. The goal was 750,000, and the community overshot that goal by, I don't know, like a couple million. Where's the end result? $3,071,809. So
Yeah.
like way over the top. So, and surprise, we hit every stretch goal there was, and there's a bunch of them, and they're like different from there's so many different ones. So Belle, what was your favorite Kickstarter goal? Like, what got you excited the most?
I'm gonna have to go with the Underrealm being unlocked. I was a huge fan growing up of the Forgotten Realms series, the Drought and everything that took place in that book series. So when I saw that as a stretch goal, it immediately caught my attention. I'm like, oh my God, can I finally get something that's going to show me this world, or at least a concept similar to it that I can play and experience in this type of a genre of a game? So that was a huge excitement for me to see that one got unlocked.
Okay. I know a lot of people there were a lot of discussions about the Underrealm and how sieges will work with the Underrealm. So that's something like I'm really looking forward to, because I always wanted a siege or attack like a dwarf capital or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing you have to take into consideration with the shape of the world being obviously unknown at this point. We really don't know what the map looks like.
Yeah.
We don't know what the topography of it looks like. But when you think about the underworld, how big is it really going to be? How do you get into it? Those type of questions I cannot wait for answers to. I really want to know more.
Definitely. Lex, what about you?
Well, I'm just looking at Twitch chat, and there's talk about the naval side, and that was my first target for Kickstarter. Was hope they'd unlock that. Since I've had a soft spot for that kind of thing since playing Sea Dogs in the early 2000s. But I never thought they'd get enough funding to unlock the Tulnar. But when that happened, that was the one that blew my hair back, because not just because I like that kind of theme. I don't often play races like that, but what I think I like about that most is it will force Intrepid to depart from humanoid-centric mechanics in the game, in terms of the models and the textures and armors and everything. They'll have to depart from that from day one, rather than have to retrofit it into the system. So by introducing the tool now early, it gives them much more. It'll give them much more flexibility to introduce new races and to have a more, diverse range of models and systems in the game in the future.
Okay. I think a lot of people, I think the Toner are currently the favorite race of the community because, Toner apparently is the master race, according to a lot of people in the Discord. But Saru, what about you? What's your favorite Kickstarter goal?
Well, before I begin, I want to noted that like when I first came in for Ashes of Creation, like it was like any other indie MMO. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I might have fun with it. Who knows? Not. I didn't really think much of it. It's like, oh, okay, that's gonna be cool. And 6 months later, it breaks records on Kickstarter. It's just one of the biggest, most anticipated MMORPGs. That's whatever. So I just want to put that out there. But I'm gonna be honest. There's 3 that are like the stretch goals that I was super excited for because I am completely ridiculous. So first of all, kittens, because I don't know if anybody knows, but I love kittens. Okay, I don't know. I love kittens. You don't mess with me. I love kittens. I love the group mounts because in other MMOs, I used to be able to kidnap people on my group mount that would just fly and just throw them over the water. I don't know if it's going to work like that. It's probably going to have a confirmation, but I hope it's like that where I just can grow on my elephant, grab somebody, and just run away. And
do you mean like have you ever played Ark Survival Evolved?
I was thinking more like Revelation. I don't know if you remember, like
I do.
Where you could just grab them and leave, and they have like it's just kidnapping them. Yeah, and I think the skill effects set was actually kind of cool because I wanna feel special.
I'm kind of torn right now because also the skill effects because I'm not a role player, but I always like to imagine some sort of a backstory for every character I play, and I want my characters to look in a certain way. For example, if I don't know, like if I used to play a lot of Guild Wars 2, but not because I like had a lot of people. I just like the way you can customize your character in Guild Wars 2, and so the whole skill effect thing is like something that I am really looking forward to. But I think the thing that I was really looking forward to, or the thing that I really liked was the naval content, because I love to be a captain. I just it says added ships and exploration, so I'm imagining a huge world, a huge water content where you can just explore and stuff can happen on a scale that we have not seen before. But that's just me. So and I also like the idea that you can customize your ships. I know for example in Arcade or Black Desert Online you have ship models. Western type ships, Eastern type ships, and maybe it's just me. But I would love to see some real in-depth ship customization. Maybe.
So what do you see that happening as, BCG? Like, you mentioned Arcade, where there was the degree of customization as well as each component could have a different grade or a rarity. Like, what do you think they're going to do with it?
Well, what I would like to have and what can happen are 2 different things. But what I would like to see is like something. There's a game. There was an indie game that I played for like a week or 2, which was called Planet Explorer, where you could just really craft your own sort of spaceships and stuff like that. So what I would like to see is like an in-depth shipbuilder within the game. This is wishful thinking. I know this is not going to happen, but I just would like to be like, you know what? I like the bottom part of Western ships, but the top part I want it to be more Eastern. I don't like that sort of sail. I want that sort of sail, like a real like shipbuilder, something like that.
So, like, when you say that, I understand you're talking about the base architecture in terms of the concept of where it originates from. Are you thinking about customization that can go down to a level of what type of wood did you use for the hull?
Yes.
Yes. What type of railings do you have? Not just what cannons, what sails, what mast or what have you, but you're talking about that finite level of how does the wood grain even look?
Yes, exactly. Like that. I'm always like I'm a bitch for customization. I was straight
At
up.
least you get a minute.
When Black Desert first came out, when it was before it came out, I had streams on Twitch where I spent literally hours in the character creation tool, just creating characters. Because the more you can customize, the more I will customize. I will probably spend hours on hours just to to nail down my perfect character for Ashes. So if they,
I hope you're not the mayor of my metropolis.
oh, it
Jeez.
could be. So if they honestly, because it says also expanded underwater environment. So if they say expanded underwater environment, are ships going to? Do ships have tools for you to expand like the underwater regions? I know if any of you ever played Black Flag, Assassin's Creed, and you had that one mission where you had to buy or get a bell, like this big metal bell, so you could dive underwater and spend more time underwater. So there's just way too much that I could get into, but the whole naval content, because it says naval content, so it's just naval stuff. So that just really got me excited when they announced that and when we actually reached that, and I just cannot wait to see what they're gonna do with that.
So, looking back again at ArcAge, how did you feel about ArcAge in terms of when you had a crew that was on your ship and they would man the cannons or they would man the sails? Are you looking for that as well? I'm just curious because I know we really don't know much about it, but that was something that I felt ArcAge could have expanded a lot more on, because I didn't like that you basically just stood around on the ship and went AFK while you were going from point A to point Z.
Oh, so you mean like you need somebody to do a certain job? Like if you want to go faster, you need people to hiss the sails, and if you want,
or like the Anoan. Do you remember the Anoan galleon in ArcAge, where you actually had people that had to work the paddles and stuff?
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for. Like, I think everybody should have a job on a ship. I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, I might be a little biased being a former sailor myself, but I mean, that's what I hope to see.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would be, you'd have tiers of ships, right?
Yes.
I'm just speculating, and so the smaller kind of class of ships, the sloops and so forth, they might be fairly soloable, but the larger, the clippers and the bigger ships, you require a crew, whether it be people or NPCs. I guess you'd have to invest in whatever design you think you want.
I think there's a lot of things they can do. But for now, I think I would be happy if they just provide like good naval content. It doesn't have to be the thing that I want. It just needs to be fun. Because if it's for example, if it's you just drive from A to B, you buy a ship, you pay 30 gold and you get this huge ship and you can pretty much sail it by yourself. I guess that's fine, but if they really put in an in-depth customization tool like I want, or an in-depth use tool, like for example you need 30 people to like use a galleon, that would be awesome. But I know a lot of people are gonna complain about it, because a lot of people, they want to be the captain of a ghost ship, which magically the ship goes from A to B and they're the only person on it. So it's a tricky thing, but I think both things can work if they learn from past games. And I know Steven played a lot of ArcAge. I think a lot of people know that he played a lot of ArcAge, so I think he knows what people would like and what people don't like. But like I said, the more in depth a system is, the more happy I am.
Well, I think, to quote Steven Sharif, 2017, we're going to make oceans great again.
There we go. It's all we needed to know. Okay, so
oceans are going to be immersive and
they're going to be amazing.
Okay, let's jump to the next topic. What's your first class when the game releases?
Oh, God.
Yes. Oh, God, indeed. By classes, I know we do not have a lot of class names. We have the archetypes. But what is like the thing that you want? Do you want to play a paladin, a warrior? Like, what sort of thing do you want to play when the game comes out? Because me, for personally, and Steven, I'm so glad. I swear to God, I prayed to the gaming gods for months, but Steven finally confirmed it, that there will be necromancers in Ashes. There won't be warlocks. We don't know if they're going to be warlocks, but there will be necromancers. So I know for sure now that whatever class combination is going to make a necromancer, I will be playing a necromancer. And the reason I will play a necromancer is because I always played a necromancer or a warlock. I'm that demon-loving evil son of a bitch in every game that everybody hates, but I will play a necromancer because, necros need some love too. So, Saru, what are you going to be playing? Like, what's going to be your main?
You could say necromancer has your undying love.
Exactly.
But, thank you. I don't know. I mean, I just recently got back into the role of a priest in Terra, because I'm playing the game just to kind of refresh myself for healer, and I've always loved being a healer. And I only recently, like in the last 3 years, started going for a DPS role, but I think I'm gonna go for healer 100%. So probably a cleric with a summoner or a cleric, most likely.
Okay, I don't take this the wrong way, but I always thought you would be more like a hunter, rogue, sort of ninja type of guy.
I am not that weeb. I might blow your mind, but let me tell you, apart from my anime picture that is actually original, for those that keeps calling me, whatever, I don't know, I'm more of a priest. I like priestiness stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lex, when I talk to you, Lex, I imagine like a warrior, Viking sort of He-Man kicking Skeletors kind of ass type of character, or what are you gonna play?
Wow, my voice must not telegraph my true self very well. So yeah, I gravitate toward. Well, there are two kind of like types of archetypes I play usually in games, and this is ever since Dungeons and Dragons. They're just the things I enjoy the most. I like casters, mages. When I do play a caster, I often tend to play a darker kind of character.
Necro!
Necro would be one, definitely. But if I play a melee class, like a tank, I'll usually go a lighter route. So I'll usually be a paladin or something like that. So it kind of depends. But I have no idea what class I'm going to play because I don't know what the augments are or the secondaries are going to be. So yeah, but I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Belle, what about you?
Well, when I like to be up in your face. So I'm going to have to go with tank. And also, come on, guys, with the necromancers, it's so cliche. Like, there's 90% of the forums is, I'm going to play a necromancer. Come on, guys, do something original. But no, in seriousness, dude, whatever.
I feel like I have to represent necromancers right now, but I don't know how.
It's a dying breed.
In seriousness, though, like, the tank role will probably be the first one that I play. Maybe I might go into the rogue role because in Latra that was my go-to was a burglar or the equivalent of a rogue. So I'm a little torn between which one I'm going to go with, but so far it seems like the tank. But that's just because I haven't seen anything to do with the rogue yet.
Tank does give you more, in a new game. Tank does give you more options in terms of exploring and doing different things.
Like, the necro thing for me has nothing really to do with, I want to be good at the game. It's more like I always play the warlock or necro. So, and also we have not seen how the gameplay actually works for necros, or if they have warlocks for warlocks. But for example, if they decide, the necromancer is going to be some sort of support class, then I will be a little bit torn because, for example, Guild Wars 2, for example, brought out their newest DLC, and all of a sudden the necromancer is a support class, and I'm like, no. So it's for me, it's just like tradition to always, to play the game. To play the game first off as a necromancer and see then, okay, necromancers are strong, they're weak, and if that doesn't work, I mostly go towards more healing sort of class, and I feel like summoner cleric would be something I would be interested in if that's
Yeah.
and
You know, the funny thing about it is he didn't tell me what he thought I would play because he knows I'm confrontational.
Because you're weird. You're weird. She's a
Thank you.
weirdo.
Because
Uh-huh.
here's the thing, and that's an issue for me because I do not know how the whole archetypes and class combos are gonna work out. We don't know that yet, so I'm still torn if I'm going to play a necromancer because
I mean, all I'm going to say, BCG, is when we're PvPing and it's you versus me, you'll have enough time in the spawn zone to figure that out.
trust me, I have enough spells to pick you back up when you're on the floor, so don't worry about it.
Oh, she just called you a bitch. But you know what I really want to see? We haven't seen it much, but I really want to see how the archer. God, I'm already getting fired. The ranger and the summoner kind of work hand in hand. I'd really like to see. Well, I'd like to see how the summoner really enhances any class. So that's kind of curious on when they're gonna release a video.
I feel like you mean like summoner being the second class, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just being the augmentation.
Yeah, I feel like they. I don't know. I don't want them to do it, but I think it would be the easiest way for them to do it is if you have the summoner as your second class, that you are capable of summoning something that supports whatever it is you're doing. For example, if you summon. If you're a tank in your summoner as your second class, you can summon a stone golem that gives you extra, I don't know, health or whatever. If you're a cleric, you summon, I don't know, something that does an AoE heal. If you're for example, if you're a ranger, you summon, I don't know, a pet, something. I don't know. It's you can summon something. So there is an ocean of things you can summon.
I'm thinking it more like a multiplication, right? So if you're like a ranger, for example, and it shoots an arrow, and you have the summoner as augmentation, like it has like 100 arrows that come at you or something. Or like if you're a cleric, then I don't know, God comes down. I don't really know. So I mean, I like to see how that comes to be.
Yeah, I think.
I hope they temper it a little bit, but the way in D&D, you have familiars, and rather than just having an arbitrary, kind of summon at any particular time, you summon entities that you can't, you can't over summon them or over exploit them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting how they pull it off, because every other game I played that had a summoner, I don't know, just failed in every regard. Was more like, it's a class that has a pet. So
we don't talk about Blade and Soul here.
I didn't say Blade and Soul. I did not say Blade and Soul.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. But yeah, that's just something that I'm really interested in, based on what happens in the next year and a half with the Alpha Zero being in December, and I actually got lucky to be part of that. I might even change, but I don't think I'm gonna have issues kicking Bell's butt no matter what class I play.
I'm gonna be on the mountain just watching.
Ooh.
Famous last words.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't even need to respond. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's gonna be interesting. I want to play so bad right now. Okay. So with all that said, let's jump to something more serious. Ash has been around for a while now, and a lot of people, made content for the game. A lot of people are well known within the community. So I'm asking you, as community members, it has nothing to do with that. Two of you are community moderators. So feel free to, be like, okay, I'm answering as a community member, not a moderator. So my question to all three of you is, where is it? Right here.
Well, if I could stop you for a second, I'd like to interrupt by saying that the key winners that have just been announced. So I don't know if you wanted me to just say their names. I think Steven just wanted to upstage everybody. So if you're watching, the winners for the Alpha Zero keys are Alluring, Tirathel, Gothics, Silver Raid, Tug of War, Zara, Freezeman, Nagash, Zombie, Kratz, and Atropos. Welcome to Alpha Zero.
Yeah,
You missed your calling as an esports caster.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I was like, dude,
No
why,
thanks.
why am I the host? You sound so much better than I do. Why you should host this?
You have a beautiful accent.
Okay, so anyways, congrats to the key winners. I know 3 of them, so no, I know 4 of them. So I'm gonna applaud them later. But yeah, content creators, because there's a lot of people out there that make content for Ashes, and I gonna straight up say that my favorite content creator, because he helped me with one of my videos, is Truth Eternal, because Truth Eternal is the Morgan Freeman of Ashes of Creation. That's my reason when I say he makes awesome videos. He's a professional voice actor, and I do enjoy his videos.
Yeah, I tell him all the time he's the white Morgan Freeman. He's a really good guy. So, are you looking for
Any
content
type.
creators for Ashes of Creation, or any type whatsoever that has nothing to do with it?
Well, it can be with the Ashes of Creation. It should be, like, if it has something to do with the Ashes of Creation, I'm fine with it. But if you have other ones you like to mention, yeah, like, go for it.
I love PewDiePie. No,
Okay,
I don't know.
this will be it for today.
That'll be it for the day. We're done. No, I mean, to be honest, I really like Proxy as a content creator. I think he's one of the best content creators for Ashes of Creation. You know, creating guides and informational videos on what's up and what's going on. I think that's. I think he's definitely good for that. I love Truth Eternal for his voice, but I think content-wise, as a creation, you know, I think Proxy's a good guy for that.
I think a lot of the people within the community know Proxy. Like, when I need to know something, like, I can always watch his videos, because his videos, Proxy, and shout out to Proxy if he ever watches this, like, his videos, when it comes to anything with Ashes, anything new you can find in his videos. So I think, like, he's really, like, one of the number one content creators for Ashes within the community. So, Lex, what's your favorite content creator?
well, my wife, of course, somebody's mother who's listening, and I do mean that though. But in terms of Ashes, Proxy, I really like Proxy's content. Z's, I really like Agilos. And yourself, of course.
I don't do content. No, I don't.
Well, if you
Continue.
did.
Belle, what about you?
All right, first off, who the hell is this Death Proxy you're talking about? I've never heard of him.
He's a
It's
brand
somebody
new,
like-
up and coming GoFundMe fella. Damn, I couldn't think of anything.
Sell out.
Nicest person you will ever meet.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't do a whole lot of content creation, so I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that front myself. So I'll defer to you guys on that one.
I wanna get a shout out, because Lex mentioned the Dungeon Crawler Network,
Yeah.
because there's been a lot of people that do content for Ashes. They covered Ashes in some regard, but I feel like Dungeon Crawler Network and Proxy are, like, the most constant sources when it comes to Ashes, at least from what I can tell. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I totally forget. Maybe I haven't found anybody else. But, like, every time.
These.
Oh no, you're right. Agellos, first of all, Agellos is a sexy ass man. I don't know if you're watching, but I love that guy, and he does not stop talking. I shit you not, he does not shut up.
Oh,
but
I-
I love the guy. You could ask him one question and go on for 30 minutes. I love the guy. He's really good for content creation. I definitely Dungeon Crawler. I don't know if you've heard of Ashen Foundry.
Yeah, I
Like
have,
they kind of yeah, they're really good for that type of stuff. So I mean, I'm sorry I interrupted, but yeah,
No
I love those guys.
Yeah, especially, like, I agree with Jealous. I had him on the podcast before, and he really likes to talk, and he knows his stuff. So yeah, like, I think in the future we're gonna have a lot more content creators, but definitely I wanna get I really wanna get a shout out to the people, Proxy, Jealous, and everybody else who keeps informing the community about anything Ashes, because the more people know about Ashes, the more success Ashes is gonna have. And I know there's a lot of people, they put Ashes in the title, they do the tags just to get the views. But I feel like their content is really like, has quality and informs people, and that's, like, something I really look forward into a content creator.
No, for sure. And I mean, I'm hoping that, we're starting this modcast. So I don't know if I think we're starting up next week. Bell, I don't remember. I think we're starting up next week. And like, we
Yeah, I
were
think so.
supposed to do every single week, but there was a bit of a interruption. So, we'll have Proxy and all the mods that are available to come on and do some stuff. So I definitely love that. And, we want to get you, Big Cheek. And we wanted to get a lot of the content creators that are really, really passionate about Ashes of Creation. We definitely want to get them, to talk about their stuffs.
I'd rather do a podcast
Absolutely.
about you guys doing a podcast for the moderation team. That would be an awesome podcast.
Don't
Podcast
make me
with-
kidnap you.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Definitely. If you guys, honestly, I would be honored. Like, honestly, I would probably be really nervous. But yeah, if you guys want to have me, definitely. Okay, let's so everybody's listening, keep your eyes open for the mod podcast. I'm actually gonna tweet about it and promote it as much as I can. But let's jump to the next topic. And it's going to be PvP, PvE, or RP. I'm not gonna ask Belle because Belle already challenged me, and I know she's a PvP nut. So Lex, what's your main focus in Ashes? Are you gonna be like one of the guys who's just gonna go for PvP, PvE, RP? Are you gonna do everything?
Well, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool PvPer from way back. Pretty much every MMORPG or pretty much any game I really enjoy, I PvP in. But having said that, in Ashes, I think it's going to cast quite a different context to PvP, which I'm really looking forward to, in terms of meaningful PvP, in terms of open world objectives such as sieges and caravans and things like that, guild wars. So. Having said that, I really like PvP. You definitely, I think, would be limiting yourself in Ashes if you didn't also participate in at least some of the PvE content as well. I mean, you can't successfully siege a node with PvP alone. You need PvE components. You need to craft siege engines, siege machinery, or the same for defending. So there's always going to be a PvE component to it and crafting, and so everything kind of feeds into combat. So PvP is one part of it, and the fact that PvP is open in the world in most places is another thing that I enjoy, because it adds that human risk factor to everything. You can't really simulate the danger of getting ganked by somebody with PvE, but the PvE side of it, with the right flagging system, will give you that. So I'd say more PvP than PvE, but definitely both.
Okay, Belle. I think I have to ask you. I think I already know the answer, but I would assume you're also like really PvP driven.
RP.
So
It's totally RP. I've never PvP'd in my life. What are you talking about?
Okay, so how much PvE are you going to do in Ashes? Because
I'm going to be honest with you. From my perspective, I want to experience all of it. While I do love the dominance of the PvP and the promises that it hints to, the dynamics that we are already expecting to see for PvE are so high on the promise list that if he delivers, and those really are what we're going to experience and see in the world in terms of like, the epic monsters out in the world and things like that, I can't resist. I'm going to have to do some PvE as well.
Okay. Saru, what about you?
I'm going to give you two answers, friend.
Oh, okay.
Because I never shut up. Here's my PC publicist answer. Ashes of Creation offers PvE, PvP, and RP for everyone. Why not experience it all? Ashes of Creation coming out in the next 20 years. Now, my real answer is, I don't know. Shit, I don't know. I really love PvE. I love the PvE aspect. Call of Duty ruined PvP for me because I just run in and die all the time. So, I mean, I might play PvP as well. Arenas and battlegrounds, whatever's available. I'm not really an RPer, but I definitely love doing stuff that will make it seem like I'm RPing. So, definitely. I mean, I know Belle and I are, RPing and getting married in game and stuff like that, so it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, trust me, you need to play some Guild Wars 2 with some RP guilds. It's the best.
Will you be our child?
Yeah, sure. I'll be your mean German sounding 2 meters tall.
Our big cheek baby.
German.
Yeah, I'll be a big chick baby. Mommy puppy.
plate bikini wearing anime lolly.
So what? Okay, so for me, it's almost the same, and I need to clarify something. For example, I know it's a topic that everybody's too familiar with. It's the whole I need to PK, I need to gank people, and that's PvP. Like honestly, for me, like if you're red and I'm farming, I don't know, some flower, and I see you, you're dead. Done. So like we didn't even have to talk about it. But I will mostly I will be focusing PvE.
Right.
Because Steven said this during one of the live streams, and because I'm always referencing this one particular statement, and I need to timestamp it. I need to find exactly what stream it was. But Steven said the PvE content will drive the PvP content, and the PvP content will be meaningful conflict.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
I mean, there's everything, right?
Yeah. So, example, I will grind. I will farm pretty much all day, and then when I do, when I do a caravan, then I will do PvP. You will never catch me just running around the world ganking or killing people for no particular reason. Because
not even in beta?
Well, I don't know. If I see Proxy or somebody from the mod team, I might look the other way. No, I mean like because the whole fact that everything you do in the world, everything one player does, has an impact on the world. And from what I can tell, the least amount of impact anything has is just killing random peoples without any reason. That said, if I say, for example, if my node community decides, okay, we gotta go and mess up that other node, then I might start, thinking about, okay, I gotta go into their zone, I gotta mess up their daily routine. Because I know my zone is preparing for a siege, and I want to keep them, preparing for their defense. So that's something else. But if I say, if for example, if I have, if my node is a peaceful node and there's nobody attacking us, then I will pretty much just do my PvE stuff and not really go looking for PvP. I will do PvP when I have to, and if I have to do PvP, everybody who's on the other side is gonna be sorry. So at least that's how I approach my focus in the game.
Right. I don't know. PKing is a little weird. I've never. I mean, I understand the concept of it. It's like just annoy somebody, basically. To be honest, it's just. But you gotta come into the game understanding it's an open world PvP game for the most part, and you're gonna die. So, if you're gonna come in and you're gonna get salty, you're probably not gonna be happy. So, I mean, just come in, try to enjoy everything. If you want to, you literally don't have to PvE. You don't have to PvP. You can craft or do husbandry if you want to progress in the game. Like they'd all have the same benefits, to be honest. So.
Yes.
I mean, play however you want, right? So
yeah,
I don't have a problem with PKing, in general. It just has to carry some risk, and the flagging system is there to make it more risky. But I think there are valid reasons why you PK, somebody to, not necessarily just to grief them over and over, but to kill somebody who's, like.
Yeah,
doing something in your territory or something like that, right? There's valid reasons, but in general, there has to be risks, and just to be able to get away with it scot-free would be unfair.
I mean, if there is a reason and there's logic behind your actions, I can get it. But if you're just griefing or trying to ruin somebody's day, then honestly, you should not be anywhere near me, because I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna put you into the ground, because I hate that sort of gameplay. Always did. In Black Desert Online, I had too many people trying to, just gank me because I was streaming, and it went the complete opposite way. But here's the beauty of Ashes of Creation. There can be meaning behind everything, because there is a lot of political aspects in the game with the whole sieges and nodes and everything. And if your community decides that this node needs to go, then you can start PKing and PvPing in their zone, and it makes sense because you're prohibiting and you're stopping them from preparing for a siege. So it makes sense. So that's meaningful conflict. But if you just go from one end of the map to a complete other zone, which you have no quarrel with, and you just PvP and you kill low-level players, I don't get salty. I'm just like saying, yeah, you should not cross me, because if you're red, for me, you're pretty much dead.
Red is dead.
Yeah, Red is dead. What do you say, Belle? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do I have to put you in the ground?
All right. So you may come try to put me in the ground, but
Let's
it depends on how much I drink. Because some nights when I'm, out there having a few too many, and I just like to ride around on my mount and play music as I do. And anybody that I see, you're probably gonna die. But then there's other times I'm probably one of the more helpful people that's in the game, and I'm gonna make sure that I stand up and play the White Knight. So it's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I play both sides of the coin sometimes.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds
I
fun.
bet you do, Belle. I bet you do.
Yeah.
So, wow, I thought some more people would be talking. All right, what's up, Belle? High five. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know.
You don't know? All right.
don't
So, in case you don't know, we're gonna jump on to the last topic for today. I know we had a lot of events. We had the Guild Fair, and I know the mod team, because the mod team is awesome, has a lot of more events planned. And so, what I want to know now, you don't have to say anything you don't want to, because I know you guys are planning a couple of things. But what sort of community events would you like to see? And I'm gonna start us off with this topic, because I actually started this topic a while back, and it pops up here and there again. It actually started out as a joke, because one of the Kickstarter packages, and I'm actually looking it up right now. I think it's the highest one for 10,000. Wait, here we go, 10,000. Where is it? Join a weekend-long gaming session, including and you get tickets to the launch party for Ashes of Creation. So, unfortunately, Intrepid is located in the United States, and not everybody is as rich or has the time or money to actually attend the launch party. So, what I thought would be a fun thing to do is, if Europe or Asia or Russia, no matter where you want to do it, has their own launch party, not financed by Intrepid, but financed by the community itself. I think that would be a cool thing to do. But I also know the chances of that are really slim, and you might have to even do an own Kickstarter campaign just for the launch party. But that's like something I would love to see, because the community comes really together when it comes to stuff like that. You saw it at the Guild Fair, all the people that attended and everything that has going on so far. So, what sort of community things would you guys like to see?
Well, I can announce one of the events that we're starting. We're just talking to Belle right now, about 30 minutes ago, and we're like, you know what? You want to announce that event we're going to talk about? So I guess we'll announce it here.
Go for it.
Because we're going to announce it for Monday. So what we're going to do is the community mod team is going to be creating this, I guess you can call it a viral video type of thing. So the way it's going to work, I don't know if you guys have seen the Ice Bucket Challenge or other Cinnamon Challenge. It's called the Ashes Challenge. So the way it works is you're going to be on a YouTube video. You're going to say why you're super excited about Ashes of Creation, and challenge 3 other people to do the same thing. When you do that video and you submit it in, it's going to have a hashtag that says Ashes Challenge on your YouTube channel, and we'll steal it and put it on our channel. You'll be put in a drawing where we're going to be putting some prizes. We won't announce the prizes yet, but that's going to be the event, and we'll have more information on Monday.
That sounds awesome. I even have a webcam now. I can actually be part of this.
Yes. Well, you don't need a webcam, but if you want to, yeah.
Oh, okay, no webcam. Okay, never mind, no webcam. Okay. Okay, Lex, as a community member, as not part of the mod team, what sort of community event would you like to see? Would you like to see something like the Guild Fair again, or something completely new?
I think there should be another Guild Fair at some stage, but I like your idea actually. I think having launch parties around the world would be a very cheap and b kind of viral way to launch the game. And I would hope that Intrepid do listen to that idea and even put a bit of funding or at least branding behind them, because I think that'd be a way to get people into the game.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. So
I think as a normal member, I think what would be cool would be are you thinking in-game or just community events, just outside of the game?
Anything can be in-game, can be outside the game. I was part of in-game weddings in World of Warcraft. I was part of community like parties outside of the game for other games.
Right.
So I am like, there's so much like the community can do. And I just feel like with this community, you have a really good base to do a lot of awesome things. Because I bet you, as soon as you go live with this on Monday, you're gonna have a shit ton of videos. Like even I gotta make a video, and I barely do videos for YouTube.
Yeah, well, Shunix actually, I love Shunix. So whenever there's like a Snapchat from Intrepid, he will literally wake up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever time it is for him, and literally download it and put the little trademark for Ashes of Community, so we know who's taking the videos because we're looking, and we put it on the video and we put it on YouTube and we have it available for everybody. So I think I might get him too. See if we could download all the videos that I have the hashtag Ashes Challenge and then upload it up. So it's gonna be cool. I mean, I'm pretty excited.
Belle, what about you? Is there anything you want the community to do? Any events you would like to see?
Well, we did do the one not too long ago. I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks back. That was the Ashes Got Talent. We want to do a follow-up to that. We used one that was more vocally oriented. So now we want to do something that's potentially geared towards artistic representation. So, I mean, that's one of the first ones that we have on the radar in the future here. But really, for me, I like the in-game events a lot. And my hopes are that as soon as we start to move into alpha and, subsequently into production, that we can really plan some events that stem around like holidays, for example, costume giveaways, things like that. I love those.
Awesome. So I just feel like because the guild fair and everything you guys did as the mod team and everything the community did so far has been so positive. I think like any sort of event that would happen within the community would be a success. And I just feel like, I don't know, like even now that I think about it, I think if you would make a Kickstarter campaign for Europe-based launch party, I think a lot of people would take part of it. And even like a costume contest, anything, like I said, the whole talent show was awesome, the guild fair was awesome. So I think anything the community does would be just, I don't know, would be badass. I
No, for sure. I mean, I think the cool thing is that we are definitely thinking about doing the guild fair, but I mean, we already did one this year, and it's well, yeah. And so we're thinking about going for more like closer to alpha, not alpha 0, but alpha next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we definitely have some cool. We're thinking about doing some art events. Like I know there's lots of artists, do so much fan art. Doing something like that, and then maybe giving away some keys or giving away some merchandise. Yeah, I mean, we really want to give back to the community, right? Because we want to keep it active, trying to do something. And there's not a lot of content if you really think about it. You look at Ash's discussion, it's just crazy with spam sometimes because there's nothing to talk about because it's been overexhausted. So we're hoping we could kind of hype that up.
Yeah, you said earlier there are 300,000 people, maybe not unique people, but there are a lot of people in the community, and putting hype into that base of fans only makes sense to me. So
yeah
definitely. Okay, so that was actually the last topic for today. So what we're gonna do now, because we have a couple more minutes, we're gonna open up questions to the chat. So if anybody in the chat has a question, feel free to ask. And in the meanwhile, because I have certain Google documents I always post in the forum when I post about a new podcast, and people can send in questions. And for some reason, this time a lot of questions came in. So I picked out a couple. They're a little bit on some of them are on the weird side. Some of them are on the interesting side. So I'm gonna start out with one from Elayanek. I hope I pronounced it right. What do you think about the combat? Only 8 skills instead of 20 to 30 that we usually see in other MMORPGs, and the tab system from old games. So what do we think about that? Saru, why don't you answer that
Damn
one?
it. I was hoping it wasn't me. What do I think about the combat system?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the bar that's available right now?
No,
and
he's not
the skill bar?
He's not talking about the skill bar. He's talking, how, for example, in World of Warcraft, you have a lot of skills you can use.
Oh, okay, I get it. That's tough. I mean, I've always found myself, as much as I love, typing from, Q all the way to the letter 9 or the number 9, um, it's exhausting. So, I've always used to, for MMOs, using from 1 to 0 and then F1 to like F11 or something like that. So, I mean, I'm used to it, but if they're going to lower it more so it's just more accessible for your hands and stuff like that, then I mean, sure, why not? But I do like more skills. I like using more skills that are more diverse rather than using like four, like a MOBA. So, I mean, eight is something, but we don't really know until we actually play the game and feel it, right? So, I'm sure there's tons of skills, but you can only like use a specific amount, and I think that's always been the case for a lot of MMOs.
Okay, here's another one. And I'm gonna open this one to anybody who wants to answer it. It's a little bit a longer one, so give me like a minute to actually read this. What is the chance that the flag system will get revoked? There is no point in killing someone for a bit of resources, and the penalties for killing green players are way too tight. Getting equipment destroyed is not a joke, and the only way to become non-corrupted is that you have to die. Paradox.
Paradigm?
Paradox. Paradox.
Oh, Paradox.
Oh.
Okay, I think I think if you were going to have that flagging system in all of the resource nodes, then that could be, I think, what the question is getting at, right? So it could be a hindrance to competing for resources, which is again, a risk versus reward. You shouldn't be able to go out and gather stuff with impunity because you're getting all of the reward without any risk. So I'm in favor of everyone being purple flagged at certain resource nodes, not necessarily all of them, maybe above a certain level. Let the lobbies have more safety by not by having the flagging system in place for them, but for higher level resources where you do want conflict around the meaningful PvP, then yeah, there shouldn't be red flagging in those nodes. Just my opinion.
Well, because Steven used the term meaningful conflict. Like, honestly, people that say the flagging system is too strict or too tight, those people are just asking, they just want a chance to grieve other people. And for me personally, like, there's no need to grieve other people because you're gonna have conflict in this game every day, every minute of the day. So I don't think this gonna get revoked. We have not seen it in play yet, and I don't think you're gonna hear anything about it till the first alpha, because people in the alpha 0, we cannot talk about it. We cannot say anything about it. We cannot post anything about it. But I don't think it's going to get revoked. It might even get tighter, to really force people into meaningful conflicts. But I think, I don't think it's gonna get revoked. What do you think, Bell?
So you guys know my stance. I like to do the PvP, and I think there's a fine line between being a griefer and being a total cunt about it, and getting out there and actually experiencing the PvP, forcing it onto somebody that you have beef with. Like you said, leave the lobbies out of it. Cool, that's fine. But I think that the way the dynamics of the game are shaping up and the way Steve has shared so far is that we're going to see so many areas where PvP is available without punishment or without the corruption system being applied, that you're not going to be lacked for content if you're a PvPer. You're going to find it in abundance. And I think the way that the corruption system's designed today is really towards server health. If you can't cater to the group of people that absolutely just don't want to PvP, and provide that dynamic so those commerce focused individuals can come enjoy the game and have a positive experience with it, then you're going to start seeing a depreciation in the subscribers to the game itself. So I think that if it's done well, and guys, we don't know yet. We haven't seen it live, so this is just speculation. But if it is done well, I think it's going to cater to a really healthy balance.
Definitely, I agree on that completely. So another question I have for you guys is, how would you like your inventory to be managed? Who wants to take that one? Like, how do you guys want your inventory to be set up?
So what we know so far is that, there are going to be some, I guess it's kind of very standard to most MMOs that you carry it, right? Sorry, isn't that what we heard?
Yes.
That it's in like maybe some type of a pouch or a bag or something.
Backpacks.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, in terms, what are you looking for? Are you talking about how it's arranged within the bag, or I guess I don't understand so much the question.
Yeah, I think what he wants to know is, I think the question is pretty much open, because I think he wants to know, how is it managed? Is it just one big bag? Is it like in World of Warcraft where you have several bags and each has a different size? Is this gonna? I think
Yeah,
the
that makes
question's
sense.
pretty open. The question's pretty open. Like, if I would have to answer it, I would say I would like it to be tab based. For example, you have one main tab where you see all your items, and then you have a second tab where you see, I don't know, your crafting items. A third tab,
Yeah.
armor and stuff like that. As long as it's user friendly, because there are MMOs that have inventories that are not user friendly, and you don't know what the hell is going on. I would try to avoid that.
So
I've seen it
the
done.
way it's working, the way it's working right here is the fact that, yeah, we do have backpacks like Bell said, but like depending on the artist and the level of the backpack, it's gonna get bigger inventory space or smaller inventory space. I find that kind of weird. I hope you have like you just press I, you have a small inventory, and then you can add bags upon it.
Yeah.
I think this system was in
World of Warcraft.
God, I can't. Yeah, I think it was World of Warcraft and other games, right? So I hope they do add that. Like, yeah, I like the whole fact that you can,
World of
create the packs, right, instead
Yeah.
of buying them. God, I hate that so much.
World of Warcraft had it. Guild Wars 2 had it. Wildstar had it. I think any major MMO that I can think of right now had this sort of system.
I just want to add something though. Like a lot of those games don't have weight limits, and therefore your
Yeah.
inventory could become
Yeah.
very bloated. So with weight limits and ashes, I don't think organizing your inventory is going to be as much of an issue, because you're not going to be carrying so much around with you at any one time.
It does sound like we're going to be really, really factored on the weight overall. So some of those unrealistic things that you would see in games like Arcades, where you're carrying around 99 logs, where the hell do you have those stored? Because I don't know about you, but I can't carry 99 logs, and I'm pretty strong. So where are they getting stored at? Let's be a little bit more realistic with the management.
Anatomically,
I
never
think
mind.
another like point that goes into that question is, they want to stay with the whole immersion thing. So I don't think you go, because there is a weight thing. So I think it's gonna be more on the realistic side. So I think
Yeah.
like towards Black Desert Online, which had also a weight system.
Yeah. So for the caravan system, back Desert was similar, and for the caravan system to work, you can't have players running around with all this gear, especially mounted.
So do you think that your stats will at all alter the weight that you can carry?
I would like to see that. I like that idea, that heavy,
I'd say so.
strong tanks can carry more than weak little mages.
I'd hope so, because they have to carry heavy armor. So
Like, I liked the way you had to skill certain things in Black Desert Online to be able to carry more stuff. I like that idea. So for example, if you have, a warrior who puts a lot of emphasis on strength and HP, because he plays a tank class, and he should be able to carry more compared to, I don't know, a rogue who has to put some skill points into dexterity. But I don't know if that even is a system. I don't know if that's even going to be in the game.
Right. So what about the other dynamic? And I think this goes back to the original poster's question is, with the inventory management, do you having, let's say, a survival backpack versus a duffel bag, does that at all influence the item storage capabilities based on shape and overall volume metrics?
I think Stephen did allude to there will be various types of backpack that can carry certain types of things. So I think that might be in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think we just have to wait and see. But actually, that's gonna be it today. Actually, we went over like by half an hour. Normally, we only do like an hour for each podcast, so we actually went a little bit overboard today. But guys, Lex, Bellowin, so I really want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. It was a really awesome podcast. I really enjoyed myself.
Well, thank you for inviting us. I did want to take a moment to, for anybody that participated in the Guild Fair and you think you feel like you've been wronged or something by me, whether it was my attitude, because I was just being completely sarcastic and just being silly. Like, I was not meaning to be mean or anything. Please talk to me on DMs, and I'd love to talk to you, and I'd like to apologize to you personally. I was really not meant to be personal to anybody, and I know some of you guys may have taken it that way. So, I love you all. Thanks for.
Saro is the nicest guy on the mod team. So don't be mad.
Yeah, he really doesn't belong there. He should be fired.
Like, I don't know. Miscommunications always. So I just want to make sure that everyone's okay.
Okay, so thanks to you guys for being on the podcast. Thanks for everybody who watched, and thanks for listening to us. I gotta make sure to post this before the weekend ends on YouTube, so you who just tuned in later can watch the whole thing. So everybody have a good weekend, stay safe, and I see everybody in 2 weeks. Bye.
Great thing.
Bye.
Bye-bye.